I'm hitting record now. Let me make sure.
You're frozen.
Not anymore. Hello, everyone. Chris Macmillan here with Autonomy Season 1, and I'm here with Agnieszka Evenson, the heart and soul of Autonomy Season 1. No day is complete without Agnieszka's feedback in Discord. Agnieszka, you look wonderful today. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Chris. Thank you very much.
So you're involved in all kinds of projects and skills and everything. Coaching, household alchemy, copywriting, marketing, and just generally, you're always quick to give valuable feedback as well as your presentations. How did you get into coaching? What kind of specific coaching do you do up there in Canada?
As personal coaching, striving for excellence, my personal other people's light shine brighter. And so whatever that means for every individual that I work with and I speak to, that might be a different thing. Because I also have I'm a master practitioner in psychosomatic therapy and body-mind analysis. I can also advise on health issues and other body mechanic issues that people may be having that are holding them back from being their best self. So the coaching certification is actually combined with the psychosomatic therapy, bringing it together and helping people to become better than they were yesterday, every single day.
Can you explain to me what exactly is psychosomatic therapy?
Psychosomatic therapy it's a type of therapy that was created in Australia, developed in Australia by Herman Muller. He started the Institute of Psychosomatic Therapy and Body-Mind Analysis. And it's a study on how the mental energies actually get stuck and influence the body and might actually cause, chronically might cause certain diseases or ailments that people might experience in their lives. So, some of my, the other day I had a client who had a sore back in the back of the hip. And I suggested some simple herbal remedies. I suggested some mental exercises, so more art and more things that would initiate the movement of energy in that area of the body, and also some physical things. And so taking the whole body as a whole, thinking about the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects and bringing it together into the healing. It's all about self-healing because you can't heal anybody else. You have to heal yourself.
Yeah, that's great. I want to be your client. I love it. Sounds great. It sounds like we all need a little bit of that. And also, I was very impressed with your presentation a few weeks ago on household alchemy. So, how did you get into that? Have you been studying it a lot over the years and just practicing it? And why is household alchemy important?
Well, I'm Polish, and in Poland we have a great, still to this day, herbal knowledge is very present. And most apothecaries have two sides. One is for herbs and one is for medicines, like Western medicine, allopathic medicine. And so using herbs on a day-to-day basis was like a thing in my home. Like my grandmother would use it, my aunts would teach me different aspects of it. And I remember when I first came to North America, I was 16 years old, and I was reading some labels on jam and cereal and things, and I was quite surprised at how many ingredients there are. Like jam's supposed to have 3 ingredients. I mean, you don't need more than 3 things, 2 or 3 things in jam, unless you're using more than one fruit, And this jam had like 20 ingredients. So ever since then, and that was a moment of awakening for me. Well, why would jam have that many ingredients, and what does it mean, and why, you know what I mean? And so going down that rabbit hole, I became more vigilant about what I put into my body and how I treat myself, and really paying attention to the labels. And as you start paying attention to the labels, you realize that some of the stuff in the products is is really not good. It's really crappy. And so finding that out, looking for replacement items that can be easily replaced. Now, the household alchemy thing has to do with replacing chemical products that may not be, or chemical, caustic products that may not be the best for your house, for your health, from the kitchen, the bathroom, from the medicine cabinet, and replacing them with natural alternatives that work just as well and have maybe 1 or 2 ingredients. And there's absolutely no reason not to use them, other than there is a great campaign of marketing that supports us using the store-bought products, because that makes somebody money. I mean, if I just buy 3 ingredients and make everything out of that, who's going to make money on that?
Yeah.
Me. Just me. Right? So creating these solutions was a great thing, and I've been doing that for like the last 30 years, I think, more and more every year.
What about bleach?
I use bleach once every few years. If I have a stain on a white shirt that I cannot possibly get out, then I'll go to somebody's house. I'll dip a Q-tip in it and I'll treat my stain with bleach. That's the only time I ever use bleach. I don't use bleach. My favorite disinfectant of that kind is isopropyl alcohol. I know there are many people who are pro and against it. People say it has fumes that are, but at the same time, my house, there's always great ventilation going on. There are always a couple windows open. So I'm not terribly worried about alcohol fumes, and alcohol fumes evaporate in 2 or 3 minutes. So it's not a big deal, and it disinfects quite effectively.
That was one thing that I took away from your presentation that I had never really thought of, is how important it is to open the windows once a day, for 5-10 minutes. Even in the coldest part of winter, you won't lose that much heat, and how important it is to just let everything air out. I thought that was very interesting. That was something that I had never really thought of. What are some of your favorite house plants?
Oh, I like all plants. Well, in this house, because we have downscaled, we were supposed to move away, so we downscaled the plants. We only have a few plants, but well, I think my favorite plant to have is a Norfolk pine. You can get them for about $20 at Walmart at Christmas time. Yeah. And those poor Norfolk pines from Walmart, they're sprayed with some stuff. So, I always think it's like adopting a dog. You're rescuing this poor plant from being destroyed. And I could only rescue one, but, I take it home. And I've had, in a few of my houses, I've had a Norfolk pine that I've had for several years. And then I donate it to somebody as I'm moving to a different province, or, unable to keep it for some reason. But then I always go back and buy another one the following year.
Are they okay? How are they for air purifiers? Are they some? Because I know, for example, peace lilies, and there's a list of plants that are considered very effective air purifiers. What are your thoughts on that?
Pines are pretty good air purifiers. I mean, they do create oxygen. Other air purifiers.
How big?
I'm sorry?
Small? Are they big? How, like the north? I've never. That's one particular. Maybe it might be regional, but I don't know. They certainly. I don't think they sell it in stores down here. It might be more of a northern.
Maybe thing. Because you're too far south.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be northern. The ones that they sell at Walmart when I buy them, usually they're about waist or chest high for me. So I don't know, 3 or 4 feet, and then they get taller as they grow. They don't grow very fast because they're trees, and trees don't grow very fast. So they grow a little bit every year.
But every time
this plant.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say.
I said general. I meant.
Sorry.
Go. No, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
I was
okay.
About every time you step into Walmart, do you feel a piece of your soul chipping away? That's all.
I kind of feel, well, I did with some of my plants when I had to get rid of my plants for moving away last time. I felt quite a loss, because some of those plants came with me from Alberta to Quebec, so I traveled with them in my car. They were in the passenger seat with my pet bird. So that was my little family that I was moving across Canada. So I did feel quite a sense of loss, but I didn't get rid of them. I donated them to good homes, and I always made sure, and I still come and check on my plants. I visit them wherever they are, or when some of the plants were given to my mother, and she still shows it on video, shows me how my plants are doing. So I feel like they're being adopted out to good places, and if I can grow a plant to be quite strong and robust and then give it to somebody, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, house plants are great. I have a lot of peace lilies, pothos plants, and aloe vera. I have a lot of aloe vera, and they reproduce quite easily. And so I take the small the small leaves that start to develop and replant them.
Babies.
I love
babies.
Yeah, yeah. So
yes, aloe vera is nice. I don't know if aloe vera is a great air purifier. It has a lot of uses. I'm not sure if succulents like that are necessarily specializing in air purification. The best air purifiers are plants with larger leaves. Schefflera is a good one. They have those 5 leaves on a little center thing, and
rubber plant as well. There's the rubber plant. Yeah, that's a good one.
And there's one called the mother-in-law tongue or something like that. I don't remember the Latin name for it, but it's like those long, like grass-like things that are really quite wide. And so those are good. But even if you think about, the larger the leaf, the better at processing the air the plant would be. So just think about that.
So what are your current, as far as projects going, as far as coaching is going, what are you up to right now?
I've actually been seeing more and more clients for coaching these days, especially since joining Autonomy, because Autonomy is filled with like-minded people, and they seem to be flocking to me for, as I share my opinions or my point of view in class. People reach out to me and get into a coaching relationship with me in order to overcome certain obstacles that they're working on. So that's, yeah.
And also copywriting. How did you learn to do copywriting? And how did you were ahead of the game. I never realized how important it was until Autonomy, and you've already got that behind you. What's going on with that?
I enjoy writing. I've always enjoyed writing. As a child, I used to write fiction books in my head just for fun. So I really enjoy writing, and I enjoy psychology, as you can tell by, coaching, certification, psychosomatic therapy, and all that. And even in my regular official schooling, the university schooling or college schooling, I took a lot of psychology courses. So psychology is like a thing for me, right? So copywriting has a lot to do with psychology, because especially when it comes for copywriting for marketing, but even any writing, you have to think about the recipient, right? How you're going to write in order for the person who reads it. It's one thing, you can stand on top of the mountain and you can shout your very important message as loud as you want, but unless the person who receives that message can actually understand what you're saying, it's going to, right? So it's not enough to just stand and shout. It's much more important to really think about how that message is going to be received, what the recipient needs to know, and also remembering that people in general are quite selfish, right? They're caring about themselves. They don't care about you so much. They care about themselves. So how can you phrase your very important message to land on their tender emotions, right? What do they need to hear? What are they working on? What is that problem that they're focusing on? Well, what I usually say for my marketing clients is, as your client is falling asleep, what problem are they thinking of that you can solve? Because people, as they're falling asleep, they think about, they're mulling over their day and they're thinking about the problems that they might be fixing. So what is that problem, and how can you focus your marketing to really directly approach that problem in a way that brings a solution to that person that they're yearning for, like plant or water in the desert, right? They're really hungry for that particular solution, and here you are with the solution. And if you come with the solution in a way that doesn't land in their hearts, they may not even hear you, and they may not even understand that you have that solution. So it's very important for that ideal connection to be made.
What kind of clients do you normally get the most? Are they business people? Do they need to improve for their career or for personal reasons? A mix of both. Yeah. Do you have is there a certain demographic of, type of person that you tend to help more than over another?
So for coaching clients or marketing clients?
Either one. And for coaching, it's mainly business people, isn't it? Or is it just anybody?
I don't know. It's for coaching, it's usually individuals that I meet they tend to be business people because I associate with business people a lot. I go to networking meetings. I'm joined up to Autonomy, which is full of people who are business people. And so that's why. But just in general, people who are seeking solutions, right? And they speak to me, and there's that spark of recognition that yes, this person can help me. And then if I can help them, that remains to be seen, right? You can talk to me and see if that can be helpful. But I've had some really great reviews. I'm going to be collecting testimonials soon from Autonomy because I've had some really great reviews from the Autonomy students.
Yeah, because by them helping themselves, it helps their career, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, and the things that I'm doing with Autonomy students is a lot of mission and vision work, right? A lot of approach to health, like alternative approach to health, because, people who are used to going to the doctor and taking that power and giving it to somebody else. Okay, you fix me, you're not a car. The doctor has 15 minutes to see you. They're not going to be able to think about every single thing that is affecting, those 4 elements that I said: mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional. A doctor will not take into consideration all 4 of those elements in 15 minutes. I mean, seriously, right? You're the one who's spending 24/7 with yourself. So you're the one who needs to come up with those solutions. The doctor can give you some advice on the physical realm, yes, and allopathic medicine is sometimes, for certain things, really good with treating the physical. But the other realms still have to be addressed. Otherwise, the problem will just return and return and return. If that kind of thought, and one of the things that I do with psychosomatic therapy is face reading. And people are like, oh, it's like magic. It's like, no, it's not psychic. It's not magic. It's physicality. It's purely physical. Your thoughts create certain facial expressions that every single person in the world can read. In psychosomatic therapy, what we do is we actually analyze muscle by muscle by muscle so we can tell what each expression means, right? Like micro expressions, exactly. So through the micro expressions, everybody can tell what you're thinking. You know that because you're walking down the street and you see somebody, you're like, oh, she looks grumpy or she looks sad or whatever. How do you know that these people have these thoughts going on through their head? Through muscle patterns. Now, when those muscle patterns become habitual, then you get wrinkles and distortions and weird things, right? So that's what can be read by a face reader, by a psychosomatic face reader. Just the habitual muscle patterns of the person. And that shows what they're thinking and what's going on in their body.
You're writing a book, yeah?
I'm sorry?
You're writing a book, aren't you?
Yes, I'm writing a book. The book I'm working on right now is more about the elements of control in our society, right? Because even though everybody knows that, for example, in the medical profession, and this is just a tiny part of my book because I have chapters for every aspect of life in that book. There are 12 different chapters. In a medical profession, for example, the doctor has 15 minutes to see you, 15 minutes, and they only look at the physical. Yet we take, because of advertisements and society and programming and the government suggestions, right? We take all of our ability, all of our power, and we give it to the hands of the doctor for 15 minutes, and we expect a full total life solution in 15 minutes. Like, if you actually think about that, that's a ridiculous premise. You wouldn't take your car to the mechanic for 15 minutes and expect to drive away in a fixed car. Like, that's not a realistic thing. And your car is so much less complicated than you are. Your car is moving pieces and parts that can be easily replaced. You are a person with thoughts, beliefs, emotions, fears, resentments, all of these things. You're the only one who knows all of these things. All a practitioner can do, and I'm not talking about now a doctor, you know, an alternative practitioner, is shine a light on some of those aspects, right? So it's really up to you. And yeah, psychosomatic therapy takes into consideration the whole circle. But then we also, you know, if I were to, oh, I saw a person this morning who had problems with her arm, and it was a tendon problem, right? The doctor can't help her. She's been going to the doctor for a while, a tendon problem. I suggested, you know, rest. I suggested some herbs, and then I suggested acupuncture. It's not what I do, but it's best for relieving swelling inside an arm, right? That's a really, really, in my opinion, acupuncture is a great way of releasing pressure when it comes to swelling, and, you know, so it's not that any one person can do everything, but it is that every one person has the ability to research and look into their own issues and find solutions for them, as long as they're not giving their decision-making power over to one practitioner who only sees them for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's that's a good analogy with the mechanic. And yeah, you know, doctors, and also I mentioned that doctors are under a lot of pressure from big pharma. You know, they have to prescribe you something, you know, and this is where critical thinking comes in. You know, the person at the end of the day, they don't have to take that pill. It's just every individual case is unique. But
And even worse, some doctors, when you're in a certain age bracket, they'll assign you a disease. Well, you're ready for a heart disease, or you're ready for high cholesterol. You may not have high cholesterol yet, but let's give you this medicine preventatively because you're in this age group. And what does that mean? You know, that disempowers the person, it disempowers their ability to choose. And I think that there are ways of solving that with diet.
yeah, it's true. I mean, when it comes to emergency surgery, things like that, it's amazing what the medical industry can do. But general health,
Industry,
you know, doc got a cough. Oh, my lungs hurt. Yeah. You know, it's be careful.
well, I mean, if they can give you the medicine to open up your lungs that very minute, and it will help you breathe, and that's good, that's perfect, right? But it's just one little aspect of the whole circle, right? One of the worst things we can do as people is to be continuing we're allergic to. Yet allergy studies are very limited, and you know, they do that skin prick test that only, you know, it's like one dimension of allergies. You know, it doesn't take into consideration stomach allergies, doesn't take into consideration lung allergies. It suggests that the person might be allergic to something. For example, for me, years ago, I went to this allergy test, and I had, you know, the 20 pinpricks, and I was reactive to a few of them. And the doctor said to me, oh yeah, you're allergic to cats. Well, you know what? I'm not allergic to cats. What I'm allergic to is cat scratches. So if a cat scratches me, yes, I'm allergic to it. I need to wash that right away with isopropyl alcohol. But I'm not allergic to living with cats. I have no reaction to the dander or anything whatsoever. It's just the scratch and what they have under their nails. Yeah, my skin is very sensitive to that.
That's a clear case of the doctor doing, you know, saying, you know, making the best analysis they can in such a short time. But at the end of the day, you know you better than anyone else. And that ties into exactly what you were saying before. How far along in your book are you? When's it going to come out? When can we read it?
Hopefully in a couple weeks, a week or two.
Excellent. Excellent. So
I was aiming for the end of April, but I might have to take a few more days, but you know.
Yeah. See, we can hold you accountable as well. You're in charge of the accountability group, but it goes both ways. Yeah. Very good. So what about autonomy? What would you say, what skill were you lacking the most that it's helped, what is most improved because of Autonomy Season 1?
Well, accountability would be one of them, but where does the lack of accountability come from? Like what's below? You always can look at the deeper layer, and what's the deeper layer? Lack of self-confidence, perhaps. You know, it's easier for me to be a marketing expert because that's something that's like scientific and reliable. And even though I can help people as a coach or as a psychosomatic practitioner in such a deeper level, I still have to have enough self-confidence and self-reliance to be able to go, yes, I can help you, right? I'm not a doctor, and so in society at large. Who am I to tell you what to do? But then if you think about 46 years, or 40 years of studying herbs, because I probably was 6 years old by the time I learned about my first herbs. So 40 years of studying herbs. My mother is a medical practitioner, so studying with her as a teenager. My father's actually a famous doctor, but that's not really helpful to what I do. And then taking different classes and different studies, reading books about it. So probably a lifelong experience of focusing on healing and healing myself from certain things that I've had, things that are wrong with me. I fix them. I don't expect my body to, one of my least favorite things is for people to say my asthma or my fibromyalgia, because in my experience, the people that I've met have overcome all sorts of diseases. That doesn't mean that everybody can, but it also doesn't mean that anything is permanent in your life.
So just one final thought. What's the most appealing thing on your list of things going on right now? Because you've got so much going on. What's at the top of your accountability list for yourself right now?
I really have to finish that book. I am digging my heels in for that one, because I don't want to fail the group and I don't want to fail myself. And I said, I'm going to take the month of April to write a book. And it's just a pocket book. It's not even like, it's not the Bible that I'm writing. It's a small book that takes every aspect and shows you how you're being controlled by society at large, or by the elements in society that affect you. So it's not rocket science, but it's a nice collaboration or combination of different aspects.
I can't wait
combination.
Yeah, I can't. Are you going to try and get it like an ebook published out, or do you have a particular platform that you're going to use in mind that you want to share?
I have no idea. I'm just going to put it together in Word and make a PDF out of it and email it to all you guys.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get Autonomy people to tell me what to do next.
Remind me later to ask Daniel McCarthy. He mentioned a platform that he's used? I don't remember the name of it, but I'm sure we could ask him. And that's the beauty of Autonomy. There's advice everywhere. You need whatever it is you need to work on. There's advice out there. Somebody will know how to do it and have just great know-how about just about any subject or topic you can think of. Yeah.
And at least 3 other people in Autonomy have already done whatever you're trying to do, maybe not the same way you are, but they've done, so they can advise you on the best practices and stuff. I'm sure my book will need to be edited, and a few people will be looking at it and providing feedback. Well, I hope that all of Autonomy will provide feedback. But once that feedback's received, I'm open to publishing it in a variety of ways, however it works.
Very good.
But see, there comes again that lack of self-confidence or lack of self-assuredness, because like, oh, what are you going to do with your book? I don't know.
Well, no, you're right.
I'm just going to hide behind the bush.
No, I agree. The important thing is get it written right now, to get it done, get it written, and then start worrying about how to get it out there. Yeah, so your audience for the book will be anyone who is willing, who has the self-determination to improve themselves, really. Am I right?
Anybody who's curious.
Yeah.
The title of the book is How to Reclaim Your Sovereignty, a Pocket Manual to a Better Life. That's my title right now.
Great. That would draw me in. No, definitely. And it definitely ties into the theme of the Autonomy Season 1 course. That's what it's all about. For
sure. But it's not, well, I mean, Michael Bednarik has one of our students has a book that he's written about sovereignty, but I don't think, because his is more about government and self, right? Whereas mine is more about how you're being affected by the outside sources and how you're being controlled by, media and different expectations of society, more like psychological twist on it.
Excellent. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish up?
Is there anything else you'd like to ask me?
I don't think so. I just wanted to cover all your, all the projects you've got going on. You've got coaching, alchemy, household alchemy, copywriting, marketing, and your book. Oh, yes, there is one more. Are you still active in Toastmasters, or is that kind of so easy for you now, it's not necessary to keep that refined?
Well, so I don't believe that it's easy for me. Well, I mean, yeah, it's easy for me. I've done several years of Toastmasters, but I don't believe that it's something that um, can be mastered. I think that it's like a muscle, like a dojo, right? If you learn, like if you learn a martial art, and you step away from it for a few years, yes, your skills are going to go down with every year you're away from it. That said, currently I'm living in French Canada, and most of the Toastmasters are in French. And for me to be really practicing my skills, I think Autonomy right now is a better platform for me to practice my skills than a Toastmasters here, because the Toastmasters, the English speaking Toastmasters was not a very high, the one I saw was not a very high caliber. Maybe there's one in Montreal, but I'm not quite in Montreal, I'm in a village. So I think that and you can tell that I'm rusty and I haven't been to Toastmasters for a few years because I'm saying a lot of ums, and I'm quite aware of this. But as soon as I go back to an English speaking area, I'll definitely join another Toastmasters club for sure.
Because before you were in Calgary, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Autonomy is an amazing platform. It's an amazing place of people who are like-minded, educated, very able and capable, and the feedback that you can get on any project or anything that you run by them is amazing.
Is there anything you miss about Calgary?
Everything. I love Calgary. I love the spirit of the city. Calgary has a reputation outside of Calgary of being very rednecky and being very conservative. But in reality, Calgary is like the biggest small town you'll ever visit. Everybody, the number one quality that Calgary has is care. They're really, really serious. Like a whole city that employs that eighth principle, or eighth natural law. Is that what Mark Bassius says? So they really, really employ that at a high level, and even the mayor will stand up and say, okay, tomorrow do 3 good things for everybody, and then the whole city stands up and everybody does 3 good things for their fellow Calgarians, and so that's a place where if you're lost, somebody will pick you up, strangers will drive you home, they'll help you with groceries. It's the most amazing city I've ever lived in, and I've lived in a few in North America and also in Europe, just because I've never met more caring and loving people. It's great.
I was there last summer, but we were only there for about 2 days. But I am happy to say I have been there. But it's a shame we didn't know Deneen before. Before when you were living there, and then when I was there, we only met her recently for the Autonomy course. But she's definitely another person who's added a lot of value to the course. Well, cool, Agnieszka. Yeah, thank you very much for the interview. I will see you tonight.
And thank you for being course Autonomy.
Yeah.
You're a great example for us all, and we can all just dream to be as cool as you are, Chris, because you're definitely a leader. Definitely a leader.
Cool. Well, tonight's lecture 12, so I'll see you tonight.
See you tonight.